Hey everybody, Jeremy Sutton here, host of the Healthcare Self-Publishing Academy podcast. I have the great honor of having with me Dr. Mike Gable, physical therapist, author of Beyond Tape, the guide to climbing injury treatment and prevention. So here's his book. It looks awesome. Mike, thanks so much for jumping on. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me. Honored to be here.
Thank you. I think, Mike, that you were the very first person to send me a free copy of your book. And I'm really appreciative. It was like, now my kids know, like I've gotten so many books in the last 2 or 3 months. Like I'm like, do not open my packages because I want to see whose book it is, you know?
Right.
So
hey, man,
but you were the first one.
Yeah, we all appreciate it, man.
That's awesome. And I think you even wrote in here, like, you suck, Jeremy, or whatever. No. You wrote me a little letter. It was nice. Everybody's kind of written something to me. I appreciate it. And God, it does not go unnoticed. And that's something that when I started doing all this stuff, I didn't really expect to be getting like all these books in the mail. But people have been sending me books. It's really awesome. And so I'm actually going to read a chapter from your book on Monday night this coming up week. And that'll be another episode of the podcast. So
right on, man.
I'm going to learn something about rock climbing. So
hey, thanks, man.
Awesome. Well, Mike, what made you decide to write this book in the first place?
You know, there's a couple different things that happened. The first thing that got to kind of the wheels in motion, I picked up this book called something like When a Bat Goes Out, Where Does It Really Go? You know, I can't remember who wrote it now, but it wasn't like major production or anything. It looked really attainable, and it was such a great concept. Though this guy just took a bunch of research articles that, he was checking out and kind of put them into a book and, made it into chapters. And I think that kind of, started me thinking about it. But then, I was really looking into reading a lot of stuff on the internet, a lot of blog posts and articles and things that didn't necessarily jive with what I'd been taught. And I thought, it's time to really buckle down and do some research. And, I started off with 2 or 3 topics, and then that kind of grew a little bit. And I'm really, just really into rock climbing where I live too. And it turns out there's a lot of really just interesting climbing related research out there, and it's just growing and growing. And so I started to compile that, and then it's like, my computer, files, articles everywhere. I have no organization. I thought I need to do something with this, so I can, find the information again when I need it. And then eventually I thought, maybe other people might benefit from it. And so I've got a publisher buddy, and I ran the idea by him, and he was like, yeah, I think that might work. And that was kind of enough, and it happened to be good timing for me too. I was injured a bit, so I couldn't get out much. And my daughter, my first kid, was going to be born in about 6 weeks. And so I knew I was going to be hanging out with her quite a bit, and she was going to sleep a lot, here and there. And so, I ended up having some time, and it worked out real well.
That's awesome. Yeah, she was going to sleep a little bit, and that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So basically just kind of your journey to do some research and really kind of dispel some of these things that you were seeing in groups and posts and things, and then just turned into a labor of love in a book.
Exactly, man. You can get myself organized, I think too. That was a huge part of it.
Yeah. My desktop is horrible. About once every 2 weeks, I have to organize it and make new files. And so I have 0 organizational skills.
It's tough, man. Yeah.
It is. And I don't really want to be organized. I do, but I don't. And so that's even harder. Perfect. Well, talk about kind of the process of writing the book. I know you just kind of hit on that a little bit, but what was it to actually sit down and get it done?
Yeah, I think, getting the go ahead so I ended up publishing it myself because things didn't really work out for, a bunch of different reasons. But initially, once I got that go ahead from the publisher to do it, then I just buckled down, and my intention was to just do a little bit every day. And I knew it was going to be a long process, but you know how that stuff works,
Sure.
A little bit every day just adds up to a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, researched and got a bunch of articles and more articles and read through those and, got the lit review going. And then I think getting the outline out first just really helped me again to get organized and to just see that it was realistic, to make it happen. And so, I ended up doing that in that took about a year, a solid year. of writing the bulk of it. And then, like I said, the publishing didn't work out quite as well. You want me to go through?
Sure. I mean, if you want to, go ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said, after the year, just some unforeseen things came up with the publisher, and things kind of drug on for about 2 more years. And I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able, or I was just scared that I wouldn't be able to do it because I didn't know anything about anything.
Sure.
And, publishing a book seemed, daunting to me.
Sure.
And eventually, though, sometimes things have to get bad enough that it kind of kicks you in the seat and gets you going. And I just decided to do it myself, So I ended up getting a guy to do the layout and the design, which I think was huge. Mm-hmm. And so he put that together. A couple of other things. I got an indexer to do the index, which she did a real nice job with. And then the big thing was getting it printed. So I was able to talk to some folks who had published some books on their own, and get some numbers gone and figure out who I wanted to go with. And then got it printed, which was kind of a big deal. But the designer helped me with the specifics of that too. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So you had a team working with you that helped.
A bit of a team. Yeah. Really 2 other people. Yeah. And I had a bunch of, it was a nice way to tap into the community, the local community, and say, hey, you guys have any pictures I could use for the book? And that was kind of fun just to see the local folks, and people get kind of excited about it.
Yeah. Cause you're a climber, so you're in that community, right?
Yeah, and it's a big climbing community where I live, Bishop, and so it was fun to just put the word out, and people were psyched to help out, and it was really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. That's that's something I haven't talked about with anybody so far. Is like, I mean, how awesome would it be to be flipping through a book and be like, hey, that's Uncle Joe right there, or that's me.
Yeah.
I know the author, and he came, and I climbed on a rock, and I was really 3 feet off the ground. It looks like I'm higher, but
Yeah, and it's nice to not feel like you're doing everything on your own. It's like more of a kind of a group effort to some extent too. That just makes it more fun.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's one of the things. Greg Todd is one of my mentors, and it seems like I talk about him on everything I ever do. But I've just learned so much from him. But he talks about if he really is, and he's honest, and that's what's even better. And he talks about if you want to do something, you have to have a team, and really. And I've told you may have told your patients this before as a PT, and I say, look, we all need some help at some point in our life. This is just your turn to get that help right now.
Right.
So it's awesome to be able to find people and reach out to the community and get that. I really like that you pointed that out about your book. I think it really makes it cool. So you talked about it was scary to kind of be like, hey, I don't know if I can publish this. So your book's on Amazon now, correct?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that where you initially published it through Amazon, or was that after the fact?
I didn't publish it through Amazon. They're just distributing it for me. I didn't know anything about that at the time. I didn't know that was even an option. So, if I would do it in the future, I would look into that, after hearing you talk about it. And
sure.
Seems like a good way to go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's super easy. So in your PT practice, do you serve other climbers?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I have a big variety. I live in a real small town. Sure. So, and that kind of suits me too. I like a lot of variety, which is nice, but it's a lot of local climbers, but it's a lot of people traveling, coming in, to town from all over the place. And so that's been kind of fun too.
Awesome. So has the book really kind of like moved you up in their mind as an expert or authority since you've written that?
It has, for sure. I'll get emails or phone calls, or people just pop into the office from all over the place, really. And, because they saw the book somewhere. I was fortunate in that I knew a couple people who knew some people with some of the, the bigger publications. So I could get some articles in there, and, that was real helpful too. So, that's been a fun part of it as well.
Awesome. Did you ever market your book, or did you just kind of sell it whoever wanted it, or why'd you do
I
that?
did. I did market it to some extent. I tried to keep those costs
Sure.
down as low as possible, and it turns out, there's lots of good ways to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think researching, different magazines or groups or, in the climbing world, there's like a couple years ago, there's over 900 gyms in the country, so that's kind of another avenue. And, I was able to get a hold of some distributors who distribute specifically to the gyms and outdoor retail shops. And so, that was
That's
pretty
awesome.
crucial, I think, too, and Amazon's pretty amazing.
So basically, you're just using word of mouth and just kind of guerrilla marketing tactics, just calling people and seeing who would help you and things like that.
Yeah. And again, locally, as far as the community goes, we've got a bunch of different shops. I mean, coffee shops and an outdoor retail place, bookshop, and they were all, I went in and just to run it by them. They were all psyched to carry it, and they're all still doing that. And that was really fun. Some of them were my friends at the time, and all of them are my friends now. So it was kind of nice to reach out in that way to the community.
That's awesome. So you're basically like a celebrity now in your town.
I don't know about that, but
No, it's funny because so when I teach my students about the books and they're like, well, how do I, the question right before you jumped in our Zoom call tonight was, how does this help me grow my business? And I'm like, just start giving your book to people. Like, there's not been, like, I just told you how excited I was to get your book. And there's not very many people you say, hey, Mike, I'd really like to give you a book. No, I don't want it. I mean, we're going to take books, whether we read them or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to take it and you're not going to throw it away. So I think that's really good. And, talking about the rock climbing gyms, we actually have two. I live in Bossier City, Louisiana, and there's two within 10 minutes from my house.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And so I need to take your book to one of
them.
So
it's really blowing up.
It really is. It's unbelievable. Like what? So actually, I know one of the guys that opened the first one, and then this other one opened up, and I'm like, why do we need two rock climbing gyms here? Like there's not a rock within 1,000 miles of me, so that you can climb.
Unique sport.
Yes. Yeah. What about so let's talk about, sometimes we don't make a lot of money from these books or whatever. Has it become like a good source of revenue for you, or?
So I decided before it came out that I was going to donate all the proceeds. So I don't make any money off of it, but that was kind of one of my goals too. Having kids kind of cuts down on your time. So I didn't have as much time to give back to the community. So I thought, if you don't have time, you can give money. And that's so, right. That ended up working out for me there. But, there's all these other kind of indirect ways that you do profit from it. You get more patients in the door and it just kind of opens up doors. I think it's just really important. I like the concept in life of just like creating options for yourself, whether you need to use those or not, and then you just, there's so many things that just could be an offshoot from writing the book.
Absolutely. 100% agree, man. That is awesome that you give away the proceeds to your book. I knew you were a good guy, Mike, but now I really know it.
That's been, that's been, I feel fortunate to be able to do that. So that's been great.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That is so awesome. So do you have any courses or anything that you do with the rock climbers? Like any online things or programs that you run with them that the book has helped you with at all?
I don't right now. And it's something that, I think about every now and then. And, right now, time more than anything is kind of a factor, and other priorities and that kind of stuff. But like I said, I like the idea of at least having options.
Right.
Like I said, even if, you never use those options, but that seems really important I've got a small practice. It's just me. And so, diversification, I think, is just a huge way to cut down on the anxiety of you never know, kind of week to week things can change, and that just helps to have a little bit more stability,
Yeah, man. I get it. We had our own business, and I was the only therapist there. And I answered the phone, I cleaned the toilets, I folded clothes, and I had a helper, a lady that helped me. But yeah, I get it, man. So you're busy. You're constantly trying to keep the machine moving forward. So,
yeah,
it can definitely be a stressful deal.
yeah.
So, Mike, do you think you'll publish another book?
I think it's it's a possibility. I mean, I don't have anything in the works. I'd kind of like to do a second edition. Once you put one thing out, it's like, oh, I could have done that a little bit better. Or, I could have added this in, or the research changes, or there's all these different things. So I'd say that's probably the most likely thing that would happen in the future. But yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah. What about, so you said it took about 3 years to get your book finished?
It did, but I had the bulk of it written in a year, and so if things would have went the way I was hoping they would go, I think it would have been 18 months, pretty easily.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
And now the way Amazon's set up, I mean, as soon as you get the book finished, you upload it. It takes 5 minutes, and you're published. So
really.
Yeah, and I had no idea, I mean, I would have been like you, and like, I don't know how to do this. And, for some reason, somebody told me about Chandler Bolt one night. It was Alex Ingar. We were talking, and he's like, hey, do you know who Chandler Bolt is? I was like, I have no idea. So he's a self-publishing guy. He runs self-publishing school, very similar to what I do. And he had a podcast, and I started listening to it, and I was like, dang, I could write a book in like a weekend and publish it like on Monday. So it's really cool.
That's why what you're doing is so important, I think. So people just don't have to everybody's not reinventing the wheel all the time, and kind of their information,
Yeah, there's really no new information in our world. I mean, it's basically just all being regurgitated, and you just put your spin on it and things like that. And so why I don't want somebody to have to spend a year or 2 years or 3 years doing something that you could do in 6 months if you just knew how to do it.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
Yes, I mean, we're physical therapists. I think about this all the time, Mike, as a PT. If I have pain that shoots down my right leg, am I worried? Yeah. Am I scared? No, because I know what it is, and I probably know how to fix it. But if you are not a therapist, since that happens, then you could be really scared. And so that's why we have to share the knowledge that we have as PTs, and then as other things too.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Calming fears, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just ask this last question, man. And I know you've been traveling a lot today. And what other tips would you give other healthcare providers or anybody that wanted to write a book?
I think first of all, be real about it, and understand that it's going to take some time, and depending on what you want to do, look into the financial aspects of it, that kind of thing. And then, throw some ideas around and get an outline gone, and, make it seem real. And, some things in life though, you almost just can't not do, you know what I mean? And if it's something that you're excited about, we only have so much time here, all of us, and sometimes things are bigger than you are, and sometimes you just have to throw it out there and see what happens, and just go for it.
That's some of the best advice I've heard. That's awesome. Yeah. The worst thing that happened is people don't like it.
Exactly. I mean, as long as you're not like mortgaging your house to write a book or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I think not having the expectation that, it's going to fund your retirement or something too is important. Just see it for what it is. And, it could be lots of things, but at the very least, you're doing something that you're excited about, and that's going to help other people.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because I said that to one of my students today. I said, look, if you think that what I'm teaching is going to make you a millionaire by selling books, then let me refund, your money that you paid me to coach you, because that is not going to happen with me coaching you,
Yeah. But again, it just creates other options potentially. Absolutely. For you, Yeah. Lots of benefits.
Yeah, man. I mean, if somebody puts a clinic across the street from you and it's a rock climber, I mean, who are they going to go to? The guy that wrote the book on rock climbing, or the guy that just says, "Hey, I know about rock climbing." I mean,
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah,
Good.
that's a good point.
Awesome, Mike. Well, hey, where can people find your book if they want to buy it?
It's on Amazon. So Beyond Tape, and I've got a website, easternsierrapt.com, and it's on there too. And if you come into Bishop, it's in a lot of the shops, Eastside Sports and Spellbinder Books and Looney Bean Coffee, and lots of places there. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Guys, it is a phenomenal book. It's over 300 pages. It's the most beautiful book anybody's sent me. I'm not even kidding you. So I definitely recommend getting that if you're interested in rock climbing and want to have a good resource. So please, please, please do that. And Mike, I'm assuming they could reach out to you on Facebook if they have any questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
I'm on there.
Cool. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It was great to talk to you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. It's good to meet you finally.
Yeah. All right.